Hey folks, it's Dr. O. I feel like one of these undercover videos, you know, they do where they're staking out a house. Dark, sun's gone down. I didn't get a chance to do this earlier. I've been driving for quite a lot of time today. Headed up north. I've got an event I'm running this weekend, so just sat at the supercharger doing a quick charge before I go meet my team. And I had two on the way up. Two, both relating in some way, shape or form to raising money with angels, which was really interesting. And what was interesting as well, what came out of the calls was in both there was a similar conversation where when I asked, you know, how you're approaching your angel investors. By the way, this is for those of you that are raising money for your businesses, whether it's property investing, whether it's looking for joint venture partners, etc. So I'm going to keep it brief, but I just want to share with you, communicating with impact is really important when it comes to dealing with angels. So typically, the way I lay this out is think of an approach with an angel investor, anyone for this matter, but let's just keep it focused on angels, as you're coming to the table with a recipe and you have a bunch of ingredients. If you put the ingredients into the bowl and mix it the right way, and then take that mixture and then put it in the oven for the right amount of time, you will get whatever it is, a nice cake or some nice bread or whatever you're making. If anyone watches this, you're going to probably tell me, Ro, you've got the descriptions are really bad. Anyway, that doesn't matter. It's the point I'm trying to make is it's the ingredients and the recipe, the sequence that's really important. The same thing with any form of communication. And those of you that have been following me, if you haven't done so already, just remember, by the way, the 28th or the 29th, whenever it is, in a couple of days' time, the early bird offer finishes for the CWI event, which is happening in June 26th, 27th, 28th. So, get yourself registered for that if you haven't done so already. Otherwise, you can come and join me on my workshop on the 21st, which is only £15, and it's for an afternoon into the evening. So here's what happened. When I was talking to both these individuals, what was really interesting was the conversation when we got to a certain point. I said, well, okay, have you always approached your angels in that sequence? And they both said yes. I said, okay, have you ever thought about changing that sequence? Haven't changed the sequence. Right, okay, so why did you use that sequence? So both explained it in slightly different ways. I'm not going to go into the detail of it now. I said, okay, I think personally, from when you leave that first meeting, there needs to be a shift of ingredients. You're leaving one of the ingredients out, one of the stages of the angel approach, and you're bringing that into the second stage, the second meetup. But knowing what I know about angels and dealing with people when it comes to money, it is actually better to bring that ingredient into the first meeting, not the second meeting. And I asked both of them, what do you think about that? And actually there's a bit of an aha. It's like, okay, actually that makes sense, yeah. So that was the first thing. But then the question came up, which was, well, how do I frame that? Because really I want to qualify them first. This is one of the conversations that I had. The other one was slightly different, but it was still qualification actually. Qualifying the person that you're sitting with. And I said, yeah, okay, the qualifying process is great. And when you're sitting with an angel, and of course you want to qualify how much money they've got, is it readily available, is it coming from the UK, is it coming from overseas, etc. And please take financial advice about this. This is not meant to be financial advice. I'm just giving you a broad stroke picture of the sort of approach that I've used in the past. And typically when people are sitting down, there's certain information you need to find on a legal perspective as well. So if you end up finding yourself in this one-to-one with an angel, and you're asking a lot of questions in that first meetup, what can sometimes happen is they feel a little bit like they're being grilled. It's a little bit like somebody, the way I described it on the phone to one of the people I was speaking to today was when you go for an audition, I meet people that are actors or would-be actors, and they come out of the audition, they go, how's the audition? They go, yeah, man, I got grilled. I want the film, but bloody hell, I got grilled. And their association with that experience wasn't necessarily as positive as it could have been. So with your angels, what I would suggest you do is you must leave that meeting with the angel with a very specific hook, something to get them whet their appetite. Now there's several ways you can do that, one of which is you give them some examples of some deals that you're doing and then reassure them this is how you're going to get the security from your money. It might be they want to be a joint venture partner and they actually say, well, you've qualified them already, and there's two paths. One is JV, one is lending you money as an angel, and they actually seem to show an interest of being a JV partner, so you can show them headlines of an example of a deal. that could whet their appetite. But leave the hook out there, leave the carrot out there. And obviously we need to go into more detail on this. However, when I sit with you next time, what I'll do is I'll bring more numbers to the table. In the meantime, what I really need you to do is this, and then you give them a structure. And that's really important. I've actually just recently put together some slides for a webinar, and you might want to look out for that. I'm sure you'll see some advertising for this coming up very shortly. And in the webinar, I finished the webinar with a 5-step process of exactly that, walking into and then how you exit a meeting with an angel. So the main message before I unplug the car and head off up north again is make sure that when you're looking at your stages, the steps that you're going through when you're talking to an angel, make sure those ingredients are in the right sequence. In other words, the recipe is do this first, do this next, do this second, do the third, fourth. And if you've not been having a lot of success, press pause and go back and, I mean, to start with, look at two things. Certainly one is the sequence, and secondly, your language. So this is where communicate with impact is so important. What if you're using words, sentences, tonality? In fact, when I was speaking to the gentleman today, one of the people I spoke to, he made a comment, and it was really a throwaway comment, but it came in the middle of a sentence. You know, I wanted to give it a go. I wanted to give this type of project a go. And I said, okay, if that happened to be a conversation with an angel who is about to lend you 100 grand, and you're saying, yeah, I'd like to give this type of deal a go, they're going to go, whoa, hold on a minute, 100 grand, I'm not sure if I take you that seriously. So tiny words, tiny sentences, tiny structures inside your communication can change an angel from like no to yes. You know, we had a lady came through a CWI with me. I think it was the first one we ran, and she came in late by about 20 minutes on the Saturday. And because I'd given her a certain structure on the Friday to how to communicate more effectively with people, she went back and managed to secure an additional 200 grand's worth of property into her portfolio from somebody that hadn't said yes up until now, just by restructuring her approach. So we know it works. Anyway, hopefully that helps. So as I said, you know, if you want to come and join me in June, the early bird offer, I'm sure there's a link below this, and that runs out in a couple of days' time. If on the other hand you want to come and get a flavour, we've got about a 2.5 to 3.5 hour workshop happening on the 21st of March, and that will be in London, so you can come and have a look at that as well. It's Dr. O signing out. Hopefully that was useful. Take care. Bye.